The text came on a Wednesday afternoon while I was at work. Mom, sweetheart, can you come to dinner this Saturday? Just family. I miss you. Please. I stared at my phone, immediately suspicious. Mom and I hadn't had a just family dinner in 3 years, not since Grandma Rose died and left me her entire estate. All $8.2 million of it. Grandma had been very specific in her will. Everything went to me. Her house, her savings, her investment portfolio, her art collection. Nothing to my mother, her only daughter. Nothing to my 2 siblings, Marcus and Jennifer. Just me. Her youngest granddaughter, who'd spent every weekend with her for 15 years, who'd taken care of her during her final illness, who'd actually loved her instead of just waiting for her to die. The will reading had been brutal. I still remembered Mom's face when the lawyer read, "To my granddaughter Riley, who loved me for who I was and not what I had, I leave everything." Mom had contested it, of course. Spent $47,000 on lawyers trying to prove Grandma wasn't of sound mind. She lost. The will was airtight. That was 3 years ago. Since then, I'd received exactly 17 text messages from my family, all asking for money. Can you help with Marcus's wedding? Just $30,000. Jennifer needs a down payment on a house. Family helps family. Your father's business is struggling. $50,000 would save it. I'd said no to all of them. Grandma left me that money because she knew what they were like. She told me herself, 2 weeks before she died, "Riley, don't give them a penny. They'll bleed you dry and hate you anyway. Live your life. Be free." So I'd invested wisely, quit my soul-crushing corporate job, started my own business, bought a modest townhouse, and donated generously to causes Grandma cared about. I wasn't flashy about it. I didn't post on social media. I just lived well and peacefully. And now, after 3 years of silence except for money requests, Mom wanted just family dinner. I typed back, "What's the occasion?" "Mom, does there need to be one? You're my daughter. I miss you. 6 p.m. Saturday. Please come." It would mean the world to me. Every instinct screamed trap. But there was a tiny part of me, the part that still wanted a mother who loved me, that hoped maybe, just maybe, she actually did miss me. I texted my best friend Sarah. "Mom invited me to family dinner. Scale of 1 to 10, how much of a trap is this?" Sarah, solid 11. "They want something. Don't go." But I was already typing to Mom, "Okay, I'll be there." Because despite everything, despite the 3 years of being treated like an ATM with legs, I still wanted to believe my family could love me without wanting something. I was about to learn just how wrong I was. Saturday arrived too quickly. I dressed casually, jeans and a nice sweater. I didn't want to look like I was flaunting wealth. I just wanted to look like their daughter. Their sister. I pulled up to my parents' house at 5:58 p.m. The driveway was crowded. Mom's car, Dad's truck, Marcus's SUV, Jennifer's sedan, and 2 cars I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a family dinner. This was something else. I almost turned around and left. But Mom opened the front door, waving and smiling like everything was normal. "Riley, you came. Come in, come in." I walked into that house like a lamb walking into a slaughterhouse. The living room was full. Mom, Dad, Marcus with his wife Amy, Jennifer with her husband Tom. And 2 people I'd never met, a middle-aged man in a suit with a briefcase and an older woman with a legal pad. Everyone turned to look at me. "Riley," Mom said brightly. "Thank you so much for coming. We have some things we need to discuss as a family." The man in the suit stood up. "Miss Riley Thompson? I'm Edward Morrison, family mediator. Your mother hired me to help facilitate a conversation about equitable distribution of your grandmother's estate." The room started spinning. This wasn't a dinner. This was an ambush. And I'd walked right into it. I stood frozen in the doorway, my hand still on the doorknob. "What is this?" I asked quietly. "Sweetheart, please sit down," Mom said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "We just want to talk. You lied to me. You said this was a family dinner." "It is family," Dad said. "That's why we're here. To talk about family matters." The mediator, Edward, gestured to an empty chair positioned in the center of the room, facing everyone else. like I was on trial. Miss Thompson, I assure you this is a safe space for honest communication. Safe space. I laughed, a bitter sound. You ambushed me. You lied to get me here. There's nothing safe about this. Riley, please, Jennifer said, her voice taking on that condescending tone she'd perfected. We're trying to do this the right way. The civil way. Civil would have been calling me and saying, hey, we want to talk about Grandma's will. Not tricking me into an intervention. Marcus stood up. You know what's not civil? Hoarding $8 million while your family struggles. Struggles. I turned to him. You're a VP at a tech company making $240,000 a year. Jennifer is a dentist married to a surgeon. What struggles? That's not the point, Mom started. Then what is the point? I demanded. Because from where I'm standing, this looks like an elaborate scheme to guilt me into giving you money Grandma specifically didn't want you to have. The woman with the legal pad, I assumed she was a lawyer, finally spoke up. Ms. Thompson, your family has asked me to review your grandmother's will for potential challenges based on new evidence of undue influence. Undue influence? I stared at her. I was 22 years old when Grandma died. I had no money, no power, no ability to influence anything. I just loved her. That's it. That's the whole story. You isolated her from the family, Mom said, her voice cracking with practiced emotion. You turned her against us. I visited her every weekend for 15 years. Where were you? You saw her twice a year on holidays and spent the whole time asking her for money. That's not true. Mom shouted. It is true, and you know it. I shouted back. Grandma kept a diary. She wrote about every visit, every phone call. You know what she wrote about you? Susan called today. Didn't ask how I was feeling. Just needed $5,000 for Marcus's car. I said no. She hung up on me. That was your relationship with her. The room went silent. Edward cleared his throat. Perhaps we should all take a breath and... How much? I asked quietly. Excuse me, how much do you want? That's why I'm here, right? You've calculated some amount you think is fair, and you're going to pressure me until I agree to it. Mom exchanged glances with Marcus and Jennifer. We think, Dad said carefully, that the estate should have been divided equally among Grandma's 4 descendants. That would be $2.05 million each. I did the math instantly. They wanted $6.15 million from me. They wanted to leave me with barely $2 million of an inheritance that was legally, completely mine. And if I say no? Then we'll have no choice but to pursue legal action, the lawyer said. We have evidence that suggests your grandmother was not of sound mind when she made her will, and that you took advantage of an elderly woman. Get out. Everyone stared at me. Riley, Mom started. No. I'm done. You ambushed me. You lied to me. You brought a mediator and a lawyer to intimidate me. You're threatening to drag me through court and accuse me of elder abuse, which is disgusting and false, all because you want money you didn't earn and don't deserve. I pulled out my phone. What are you doing? Marcus asked nervously. Calling my lawyer. Because if you're going to threaten me, I'm going to make sure everything that happens next is very, very well documented. Riley, please, Mom's voice changed, becoming desperate. We're family. No, I said, my voice shaking but firm. Family doesn't do this. Family doesn't lie and ambush and threaten. You know what you are? You're people who want my money. That's it. That's all you've been for 3 years. And then I said the words that changed everything. The answer is no. You're getting nothing. Not $1. Now move. I'm leaving. That's when they lost it. Marcus moved to block the door. You're not leaving until we settle this, he said, his voice low and threatening. Marcus, move. Make me. I looked at him, my older brother, who used to protect me from bullies in middle school, who taught me to ride a bike, who I'd idolized as a kid. Now he was physically preventing me from leaving because I wouldn't give him money. You're really going to physically restrain me? I asked quietly. We just need you to listen to reason. Move. Now. Or I'm calling the police and reporting that I'm being held against my will. Oh, you're going to call the police? Jennifer laughed, a harsh sound. Go ahead. Tell them how you manipulated a dying old woman into cutting out her entire family. Manipulated? I whirled on her. I was there. Every single weekend. Every doctor's appointment. Every bad day. Every scary night. Where were you? Where were any of you? We had lives. Mom shouted. We had jobs and responsibilities. And I didn't? I was in college. I was working 2 part-time jobs. But I still made time because I loved her. You loved her money. Marcus shot back. I didn't know about the money. I screamed, and suddenly I was crying. I didn't know she had $8 million. I thought she was just a retired teacher with a pension. I visited her because I loved her, you absolute monsters. The room went quiet again. She never told me about the investments, the savings, any of it. The first time I heard the amount was at the will reading. The same day you all heard it. The same day you all looked at me like I'd stolen something that was yours. It should have been ours, Dad said quietly. Susan is her daughter. We're her grandchildren. Family takes care of family. Grandma did take care of family, I said. She took care of the family member who took care of her. That's how it works. You don't get to ignore someone for years and then demand their money when they die. The lawyer spoke up again. Miss Thompson, if you'd just consider a reasonable settlement. What would you consider reasonable? I asked her. Seriously. If your grandmother left you money and your family ambushed you and demanded half, what would you do? She didn't answer. That's what I thought. I turned back to Marcus. Last chance. Move or I'm calling 911. You wouldn't dare. I pulled up my phone and dialed. Put it on speaker. 911, what's your emergency? Hi, I'm at 847 Oakmont Drive. I came to my parents' house for what I thought was dinner, but it was actually an ambush about money. My brother is physically blocking the door and won't let me leave. I feel unsafe and I want to leave. Oh my God, Riley, hang up. Mom shrieked. You're going to get Marcus arrested. Ma'am, are you in immediate danger? The dispatcher asked. I'm not in physical danger yet, but they're preventing me from leaving and they're all yelling at me. Multiple adults, one of me. I just want to leave. Officers are on their way. Stay on the line with me. Marcus's face went pale. He stepped away from the door. You're insane, he said. You actually called the cops on your own family. You blocked the door. What did you think was going to happen? Edward, the mediator, was frantically packing his briefcase. I need to make it clear that I did not advise or condone any physical restraint. This session is over. Oh, now it's over? I laughed. When the police are coming. Not when you were helping them ambush and threaten me. Mom was crying now. Real tears this time, not the manipulative ones from earlier. How can you do this to us? She sobbed. We're your family. We raised you. We loved you. No, you didn't, I said, and my voice was steady now. Cold. You tolerated me. You raised me because you had to. But love? Love doesn't do this. Love doesn't lie and ambush and threaten and physically restrain someone over money. A knock on the door. Police. We got a call about a dispute. I opened the door to see 2 officers standing there. That's me. I called. Can you please escort me to my car? I don't feel safe here. And as I walked out of that house with a police escort, I heard Mom wailing. You're going to regret this. You're dead to us. Dead. You hear me? I didn't look back. Because I was finally completely free. I sat in my car in a grocery store parking lot for an hour, shaking. The police had been professional and kind. They'd walked me to my car, made sure I was okay to drive, and told me I could file a report if I wanted to. I said I'd think about it. Now, sitting under fluorescent lights with shoppers walking past, I felt numb. My phone was buzzing nonstop, blocked numbers, unknown numbers, numbers I recognized. All of them calling. I turned off my phone. Then I turned it back on and called Sarah. How bad? She asked immediately. They hired a mediator and a lawyer. It was an intervention about equitable distribution of Grandma's estate. They want $6 million. Jesus Christ. Marcus blocked the door when I tried to leave. I had to call 911. Silence. Then, are you okay? Where are you? Kroger parking lot on Elm Street. I'm okay. I can't go home yet. What if they come there? Come to my place. Pack a bag, stay here a few days. Let this blow over. It's not going to blow over, Sarah. I called the cops on my own brother. My mom said I'm dead to her. This is it. This is the end. Maybe, Sarah said gently. But honey, did you really have them to begin with? A family that does this to you. She was right. I knew she was right. I drove home carefully, watching for any cars that might be following me. My townhouse was dark and empty, exactly how I'd left it. No one lurking. No angry relatives. I packed a bag quickly, clothes, laptop, important documents, Grandma's diary, the one with all her entries about my family's visits. I'd kept it safe for 3 years, never thinking I'd need it. Now I might. At Sarah's apartment, I finally turned my phone back on. 67 missed calls. 143 text messages. From Mom, "How dare you call the police? You've embarrassed this entire family." From Dad, "You've crossed a line. Don't ever contact us again." From Marcus, "You could have gotten me arrested." Over what? Money? Are you proud of yourself? From Jennifer, "I always knew you were selfish, but this is a new low. Grandma would be ashamed." That last one made me laugh out loud, a slightly hysterical sound. Grandma would be ashamed? Grandma would be furious at them. I showed Sarah the text. "Don't respond," she advised. "Not to any of them. Let them yell into the void." But there was one message that made me pause. From Amy, Marcus's wife. "Riley, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were planning this. Marcus told me it was just a family dinner. When you called 911, I realized how bad it had gotten. I'm not choosing sides, but I wanted you to know you weren't wrong to leave. I'm sorry this happened to you." It was the only message with even a shred of empathy. I responded, "Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know." Over the next 3 days at Sarah's place, I did several things. First, I called my lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Chin who'd helped me set up my business. I told her everything that happened. "Document everything," she said immediately. "Save every text, every voicemail, every email. If they're threatening legal action, I want to be ready." But Riley? Based on what you've told me, they don't have a case. Your grandmother's will has already been challenged and upheld. Unless they have significant new evidence, which they don't, they're just trying to intimidate you. They're doing a good job, I admitted. That's what bullies do. But you know what? You did exactly the right thing calling 911. That created a police report that documents their behavior. If they escalate, we have evidence. Second, I changed my locks, not because I thought my family had keys, but because I needed to feel safe in my own home. Third, I blocked all their numbers. Every single one. If they wanted to contact me, they could do it through lawyers. And fourth, I pulled out Grandma's diary and read it cover to cover. Entry after entry documented the truth, their neglect, their constant requests for money, their absence during her illness, and her growing appreciation for the one grandchild who actually cared. The final entry, written 2 weeks before she died. Riley came today. Brought me flowers and my favorite chocolates. We watched old movies and she held my hand when the pain got bad. She doesn't know yet, but I've left her everything. The lawyers think I'm being cruel to Susan and the others. But I'm not. I'm being honest. Riley earned this through love, not obligation. The others will be angry, but Riley will understand. She always understands. She's the only one who really loved me. I cried reading that. Not tears of sadness, but of validation. Grandma had known. She'd always known. And I was going to honor her choice. It's been 6 months since that disastrous family meeting, and my life has never been more peaceful. The first month was hard. My family tried everything, showing up at my house, I didn't answer, showing up at my office, security escorted them out, sending relatives I barely knew to mediate, I declined, and finally, threatening legal action. Patricia shut that down fast. She sent a cease and desist letter that basically said, "Your previous court challenge failed. You have no new evidence. If you file a frivolous lawsuit, my client will countersue for harassment and legal fees. Back off." They backed off. The second month, I started therapy. Not because I felt guilty, I didn't, but because I needed help processing the fact that my family had loved me less than they loved money. My therapist, Dr. Martinez, helped me understand something crucial. Riley, you didn't lose your family 6 months ago. You lost the illusion of family. What you had was a group of people who tolerated you until they decided you were more valuable as an ATM than as a person. That's not family. That's convenience. It hurt to hear, but it was true. The third month, something unexpected happened. Amy, Marcus's wife, reached out. I left him, her text said. The way he treated you was the final straw in a long list of red flags. I'm sorry for what my ex-husband and his family did to you. You deserved better. We met for coffee. She told me everything, how Marcus had been planning the intervention for months, how Mom had coached everyone on what to say, how they'd specifically chosen not to tell me because they knew I wouldn't come. They genuinely believed you'd cave if they all ganged up on you, Amy said. Your mom kept saying Riley's soft. She'll give in if we push hard enough. They miscalculated, I said. They did. And when you called 911, Marcus was furious. Not because you were scared or upset, but because you made him look bad. That's when I realized he doesn't actually care about you. He just wanted your money. Amy and I are friends now. Real friends. It's strange how losing family can help you find actual connection with people who were only family by marriage. The fourth month, I did something I'd been thinking about since Grandma died. I established the Rose Thompson Foundation for Elder Care. I seeded it with $2 million, money that would help provide in-home care, companionship services, and support for seniors whose families had abandoned them. The irony wasn't lost on me. The foundation's first grant went to a program that matched young volunteers with isolated elderly people. Just like I'd done with Grandma. Just like everyone should do. In month 5, I got a letter in the mail. From Mom. My lawyer reviewed it first, just in case. It wasn't an apology. It was an explanation. Riley, I know you're angry. But you have to understand, your grandmother's favoritism caused division in this family. It wasn't fair that she gave you everything and left her own daughter with nothing. A real family shares. A real family takes care of each other. What you did keeping all that money, calling the police on your brother, cutting us all off, it's cruel. I hope someday you'll realize that and make this right. Love, Mom. I read it twice. Then I filed it in a folder labeled evidence. Because even now, she didn't get it. She didn't understand that Grandma's choice wasn't favoritism, it was justice. It was giving the inheritance to the person who'd earned it through years of love and care. She didn't understand that I hadn't kept all that money, I'd used it to honor Grandma's values by helping others. She didn't understand that calling 911 wasn't cruel, it was self-preservation. And she didn't understand that I didn't cut them off. They cut themselves off the moment they chose money over relationship. Now, 6 months later, I live in the townhouse Grandma's inheritance made possible. I run a business I love. I volunteer at a senior center every Saturday, Grandma's Day. I've donated over $500,000 to causes she cared about. And I sleep peacefully every single night. Sometimes Sarah asks if I ever miss them. I miss what I thought we had, I tell her honestly. I miss the fantasy of a loving family. But the reality? The people who ambushed me and demanded money and threatened me? No, I don't miss that at all. Last week, I got a wedding invitation in the mail. Jennifer's daughter, my niece, who I haven't seen since she was 8, is getting married. The invitation was addressed to Riley Thompson and guest. No personal note. No, we miss you. Just a formal invitation to a family event. I RSVP'd no and sent a generous gift to a charity in the bride's name. Not because I wanted to be petty, but because that's what Grandma taught me. Generosity without obligation, kindness without strings attached. This morning, I visited Grandma's grave. I do that once a month now. Hey Grandma, I said, kneeling on the grass. Just wanted to give you an update. The foundation is doing great. We helped 73 seniors this quarter. The family still hates me, but I'm okay with that. You were right about everything. About them, about me, about what really matters. The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment, I swear I could hear her voice. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. You chose yourself. Finally. I stood up, brushed off my jeans, and smiled. I love you, Grandma. Thanks for setting me free. And I walked back to my car, back to my life, back to a future unburdened by people who loved money more than they ever loved me. Some people say blood is thicker than water. But Grandma taught me the full quote. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The bonds you choose are stronger than the bonds you're born into. And I chose freedom. The end.